What's episode 9's title going to be? Are we going to see some sand? And the First Order is causing problems for the Resistance. Jedi Council starts now, here on Collider.
Haha, fooled you. Yeah, I'm here. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Collider Jedi Council. Ken always gives me so much grief about that opening, to where he said, I always a little mess up, and if you heard it, if you go back and listen to it, just a little stumble. Just a little stumble up top, but it was very funny. Welcome back to Collider Jedi Council. I'm Kristian Harloff, a.k.a. Darth Harloff, Harloff Minor, whatever the hell you want to say today. I'll let it fly. Joining me on the council, Kylo Ken Napzok is here. How are you?
Did they ever going to blow up that planet, Harloff Minor? Weren't they going to blow it up?
I've been threatened by 3 different Lucas executives that they were going to blow it up, so we'll see if it happens. Evil Dorina herself. Dorina is here. Hello,
Hi.
Dorina. How are you?
How's it going, guys?
Nice good,
Thanks for
Aliana. How
having
are
me
you?
back. Happy
Welcome
New
back.
Year. Happy Nerd Year.
Happy Nerd Year,
Nice
indeed.
to see you. All right, let's get into some of this stuff that we talk about here on the Star Wars show. Star Wars movie news. Everything happening in the world of Star Wars, that is indeed the movies, latest rumors, speculations, whatever it might be concerning the films. We're going to talk about it. Ken, what do you got?
All right, let's dive into this thing that's been turning the Star Wars nerd community asunder. Is that even a phrase? I don't know.
It is today.
I don't know. It is today because Christian's got his
Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones ice.
It's good. It's just water. It's just regular water.
Okay.
Been drinking a lot of the regular water lately.
What happened to Leclerc?
Got to be on stage in New York. I want to try to drop about 2 pounds.
Okay, that's
wow.
fair.
Yeah.
That's fair. Me too.
water. Lots
Me
of
too.
water.
Man, that sounds hard.
The episode 9 title.
Pizza.
The episode 9 title is what's going around. What do you think the title is going to be? A lot of stuff. There's a report that, hey, the title could be already have mentioned in the previous films because, you know, we saw that with The Last Jedi. It was actually mentioned a few times, even going back to Return of the Jedi. So let's dive into what we think the title is going to be. That's fun. People have fun with that.
I think it's going to have something to do with redemption, some way or another.
Redemption.
Or it could be First Order, right? Because everything's been either The Force Awakens, which was mentioned in the trailer, something this ish, and then you get The Last Jedi combining into what this third movie is, and I think it's going to be something that tricks us because I'm convinced that they're going to redeem Kylo Ren. They're going to try to, and they will try to dupe us, and we'll have some kind of title that says, you know, whatever it might be. For I don't know if it'll be Knights of Ren, but something along those lines. Something a little bit more towards the dark side. What do you think, Dorina?
I mean, do you guys think that this is going to be the movie where the whole, you know, the dark side, the Empire or First Order finally falls? Because maybe we could. I mean, if that's the case,
it's a fair question,
and that's due to maybe related to Kylo's redemption, then maybe we could get a cool title where it's actually something, you know, about like the fall of the Empire, or like, you know, like, or the whatever somebody was saying, like the ashes or something like that.
Well, here
like,
on the Hollywood Reporter, they've got some leading contenders.
Okay.
All right. That's, the Knights of Ren.
That's what I just said. Yeah, you don't want to see the Knights of Ren at all.
Star Wars Episode 9, The Knights of Ren.
Yeah.
What is this, a Legends novel?
Unless they're the ones that take down the First Order, and that's the end of it.
Sure, unless it's the whole story of the Knights of Ren. All right, then there we go. Ashes of the Empire.
Oh, there you go.
I mean, that sounds great, but we're 3 movies into the new trilogy, so I don't know. I'm being grumpy today. The Rising Tyranny.
No.
Master and Commander, the Far Side of the World. No. A Spark of Hope.
Spark is just like it sounds like a kid's show.
Yeah.
A spark of hope.
Like a little sparkler of hope.
Bring out the unicorn.
I've got the Death Star plans.
Right, like little, like
it's a new song.
I would watch that movie.
Yeah?
That sounds great.
It's the new Christmas holiday special.
And then you can end with Yevnov again. So,
A spark of hope, because I guess the end of The Last Jedi, but it's like, no, please. Nah. I'm good.
Yeah, so none of those are clicking for me. Ashes of the Empire sounds good, but I like what you're saying here. Look, titles. I hated The Phantom Menace as a title when it came out. Now it's one of my favorite titles.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know.
Phantom Menace makes sense, though.
It makes sense because when it all comes together. Attack of the Clones, I still don't even know if the clones attacked. They mostly rescued.
No, it's just that was George Lucas harkening back to his childhood.
Yeah.
And coming out in theaters next week, Attack of the Clones.
But Revenge of the Sith, good play on the old Revenge of the Jedi. I like that. So generally all the titles are really good. So I trust what they come up with.
What's your favorite title out of all the movies?
Good question.
Empire Strikes Back.
Not just because it's the best movie, but because of the title.
Because it let you know everything that's about to go down. It's like, wait, yeah. You guys won that fight. but we're gonna kick your
Right.
face in right now.
But that's what I mean. What if this last movie that happens, or the opposite of that
The fall
happens,
of
and
the
then
First
we
Order?
get, and then we
Yeah.
get, and yeah.
The only
I mean,
problem
it's an
with that is it
obvious one,
telegraphs-
but
Yeah.
just kind of telegraphs.
but The
what's gonna
Empire
happen.
Strikes Back was super obvious,
it's
and
the
it was a
second-
great
That's
movie.
the second movie.
That's true.
It's the second movie. This is the end.
That's
so
true.
I don't want them to tell us how it's going to end through the title. But I'm with you. I'm never the guy that is always, what's the title going to be?
Yeah.
It's like I'm going to see the movie. I'm excited. Like it just
Yeah.
depends. I'll analyze it when it comes out. Obviously,
Oh,
that's
sure.
what we do.
It's
And
fun.
what could it mean? But I don't ever really get too pissed off about the title. The only one I really didn't like was Attack of the Clones because it sounds ridiculous.
But you're sort of about The Empire Strikes Back. It's just one of those things that's accepted. But that's like a Bob Iger spoiler title. Like, this movie's going to be about the Empire Striking Back. Oh, what's the title?
If it came
The
out-
Empire Strikes Back.
If it came out today, I agree with you. But
Yeah.
this is in
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
1980.
Yeah.
People didn't analyze
They didn't
titles the way they
analyze.
do today, and it's the second movie, and they're like, oh, okay, this is like a
Well, they did analyze it just on the playgrounds, not on a podcast.
right. It was like it would be like Rocky 2. Rocky wins. All right. All right. Let's move on. What's
All
next?
right. So let's go to Uncle Bob Iger. We mentioned Uncle Bob. We got him. He always gives little morsels of information. We at Force Center call it IgerCon, and you can always count on Uncle Bob to just spoil something. Like, here's the plot of Solo. Is that literal? Yeah, it is.
You got to find out how he gets his name. He's not serious.
Yeah,
Serious.
give me some more money for stocks. He went on and said this. The big question about the streaming service, and I think this all could change. And I think one thing we take away from Bob speaking to the folks at Barians, a lot of business stuff. The streaming service is big. We know it's this battlefield that they're trying to win. But I still think they don't quite know, not that they don't know what they're going to do with it, but like with all of us in the digital media landscape, it changes often. And trends and things at work changes. So this could change. But to the direct question of will they make movies for the streaming service, he says, we're looking to make movies that are higher budget, but nothing like that. We wouldn't make a Star Wars movie for this platform. He believes you should experience it in a theater. He's an old school guy. So that is the answer now.
Right. And
I could see it changing.
That's why, and I said this, we talked about this a little bit on Collider Live the other day, whether or not that's his philosophy or not at the moment, like you said, things can change. I don't think it was necessary to make that statement because he doesn't know what's going to be pitched in the offices of Lucasfilm next week. They might come to him and say, look, this is a cheap thing that we thought about doing, a one-off movie here, 2-hour movie, and we're gonna do a Cad Bane movie. It's gonna be $30 million, and we're gonna be able to do this very small kind of independent type feel, but it's a really cool idea, and we just want to do a one-off, and we think that it could do really well. Guys, I was just kidding. And I just don't think it was necessary to say it. I understand the strategy, and that's the goal right now is not to do that. And to be completely honest, and I've said it a million times here, I would much rather them take like a script like the Obi-Wan movie that they were going to do and say, let's turn that into a 10-episode miniseries where they're doing with Loki and Scarlet Witch. Let's do that.
Yeah.
And that's kind of maybe what he is talking about as well, too. And I also understand a lot of people feel this way, and I think we've had this debate on this show many times, that Star Wars is that type of property, that IP, that you want to see in the big screen. You want to see it, you want to hear it in those big surround sound speakers and be around everybody in that atmosphere, and I get that. But when you're definitively saying, not going to happen, we're not aiming to do that, because I'll tell you what, if Mandalorian is going to be $100 million to do this whole series, right? I'll bet you a handful of dollars, just a handful, that you can watch these shows on the big screen and get the same feel, and you're not losing anything when you're watching it on TV. The same reason Game of Thrones, you can watch episodes of Game of Thrones on the big screen. So I love Bob Iger. I've said it many times. I think he's one of the best executives of all time. I just don't think it was a necessary statement.
I mean, it also depends on how exactly he was asked the question, because it's possible that he just meant the Skywalker saga Star Wars movies,
Didn't sound like it in the...
But because I think you're right, I think that for the Star Wars stories that I want to see new and different stuff. And for that, that's more of a character-driven type story, which are more intimate stories. And so I prefer to see it as a miniseries or as a series, right? But if you're going to have some amazing, like, space battle, then I want to see that in the theater, right? And obviously, he also knows that they're going to make more money if they put these movies in a theater. Then, how much is the budget for The Mandalorian, for example, compared to, these movies?
Well, it's true. I mean, the 10 episodes is about a little over. I think the budget is out something like 120 million or something.
Right.
Is that for total?
For total.
For the total, right?
Rumors something between 120 plus. It'll probably go up a little bit more. Let's cap it at 150. Dorina's right. One movie.
Yeah.
Like Last Jedi was something like 200 something.
Yeah.
So and then you want to make that back in the theater, and you want to do that stuff too. But there's no data yet on this plus, right?
Right.
If they surveyed a lot of people why they signed up to Disney Plus, and a lot of these subscriptions, whatever the cost might be, was because of The Mandalorian, then the investment starts to make a lot more sense.
Right.
And if merchandising starts to come out of there and other things start to come out of there, then you start to go, I don't know, maybe we can do so. Maybe there's video games based on Mandalorian. There's tons of stuff you could do.
But then also, how do you get the interest of the audiences that, because, we're into other stuff other than the actual movies, but most of the Star Wars audience is just the movies, it's just the trilogies, right? And so how do you get that interest? Because take something like Star Trek Discovery, right? A lot of us signed up for the CBS streaming service only to watch that show, and then we canceled it. Right.
Yeah, but
so then
Scandalous.
How do you keep them on? How do you keep them on besides doing Star Wars?
Right.
Well, I think that they're doing that with Marvel.
If you're a Marvel fan, is my point. I'm talking about people that are just the Star Wars movie audience.
Oh, you want to keep them after?
You sign up for the series, get the Mandalorian,
and then they bail out. I mean, that's what you got. Clone Wars. Then you're going to be waiting around for Cassian, the final. This is another. I don't know if this is in the rundown, but we also have there are comments that it's a limited series.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
And Roxy Stryer, who's a big TV buff, said limited series is such a different term today than it was 5-10 years ago, because a limited series could be 4 seasons of 9 or 10 episodes apiece. People right away think limited series. They go, it's 1 season, it's 12 episodes, and we're done. There was no definition yet behind it. But before we get into that, Ken, I do want to get your thoughts on Uncle Bob's comments.
Yeah, and I do have other interests other than Star Wars. Otters,
nice.
tacos.
Otters are
otters?
awesome.
Otters are my favorite little animal at the zoo, and young guns. I mean, these are the things I love. So,
is it legal to have an otter?
I don't know. I used to have ferrets.
I know.
But,
What happened to those ferrets?
They
pass?
passed on to the other side of the Force. Thanks for bringing that up.
How old were they?
8 or 9. Ferrets still have a
Happens. I had a
long
dog,
life.
he passed away too.
It's a hard part of my life, but thanks.
Did they have Star Wars names?
No, I did not have the power of naming in that situation. I like Bob too. Bob too. Uncle Bob is, I've passed him in the hallways at events or something, and there's an aura to Bob.
Him and Vince McMahon have the same aura.
Yeah. You used to ride on planes with Vince and have sushi with him, right, or something. I don't know.
I ate his shrimp.
You ate his shrimp, and that's why you got fired. So he's got an art. So I like to, but sometimes it just says some weird things. I think some of his decisions, and I love it that he's like, I kind of messed up with the Solo release date. I wanted it in the first business quarter for shareholder kind of stuff. So I think this will change. If I'm making a break, I don't have any.
Right. Could change in 10 years.
It could change in 10 years, but as of right now, it could work. And this changing landscape. Watching the Golden Globes, they were on while I was looking at pictures of otters on the internet. But my girlfriend was watching it, and there's like shows. It's like, hey, the Bob method here. It's on the dentist lobby channel. Like every streaming service is changing so fast. So I think if Mandalorian comes out and it's well received and the subscriptions go up. Yeah, then they can look at some writer comes in with, hey, here's the adventures of Iden Versio and Inferno Squad. It's a 2-hour movie about this.
What about an animated movie?
Yeah, animated movie's another example.
A 2-hour animated.
Especially after something like Resistance. It looks so beautiful. I would love to see an animated movie.
And I think that, and if you asked him, he'd be like, well, that's not really what I was thinking about when asked about movies. You should, because that's what a movie is. It's 2 hours.
And he's thinking old school. And I get it. I mean, we get it. You want to create the event, the space battles. You want to see on the big screen. You know, talk about Game of Thrones. They put season 4, that episode Watchers on the Wall. They put it in the IMAX theater. The next spectacular. You know, like I get the going to the theater experience and making the money. It's like WWE Network. They didn't know. They didn't know if it was $9.99 a month was going to work for them on WrestleMania buys, pay-per-view buys, and it has over the course of time.
Right.
This could change the landscape of Star Wars. There's always going to be stuff in the theater, so I'm not worried about that.
Well, you just said something also there too. We still don't have a price point on this thing because that's one of the things. Your earlier question, Dorina, about will Star Wars fans stick around?
Yeah.
You would assume as a businessman, what you want to do is like, look, here's what we're going to do. We're going to announce the Star Wars show. We're going to get the Star Wars fans in, and we're going to tell them about all the other stuff that we have, the original program that we have that's not Star Wars, other things that we have. Hopefully they watch that to browse around. But those Star Wars fans will do what you were talking about, bail, if it's too expensive. If they say, like, look, all right, I want to see The Mandalorian, I'll pay it this time, and then I'm out. I mean, I don't want to do this anymore after this. It's just,
I would
give
do
it
that,
one shot.
probably.
Maybe, like perfect example for me is like YouTube Red, or whatever it's called now. I signed up for the free thing for...
You talking about premium or TV?
Yeah, at the time, YouTube Red, right?
It was called YouTube Red.
Oh,
but
at the time, okay.
But whatever Cobra Kai is on. That's the reason I signed up. I watched the 2 episodes for free. Then I signed up, watched it, then left it for a second. I said, I don't watch anything on this. I watch nothing. So I'm bailing. I'm leaving.
What about the no ads part of it?
Yeah.
That's nice.
I don't
Just
care.
saying.
I like some
I'm
of the
promoting
YouTube
my company,
ads.
sorry.
They're really funny.
It takes me 2 seconds to wait and skip ad and realize that other people. It's because I do this that I realize that people are getting. That's how they. Because YouTube doesn't pay garbage.
Yeah.
So that's why everyone and their mother has a Patreon now because they can't, because YouTube does not give any money. It's a crime.
Yeah.
But no, regardless.
I like the YouTube ads. I'll watch that guy, Ty Lopez, around that Porsche Ren saying how rich he is and you can learn his methods. I'll watch all 5 minutes of it.
I don't care. Yeah, I'm just sitting there and I watch the ads. It doesn't matter. But the reason I signed up for Cobra Kai was for that show, and then it was over. It was done. Now, that being said, as soon as it comes back, I'll sign back up, and then I'm out. And I don't care.
And I'm Dorina and not sharing my password. Don't ask.
Yeah.
I already know it.
You do?
Remember, I
bet
work
you
for
do.
them.
Oh, that's true.
But the other thoughts, Ken, about what we believe the limited series thing means. Do we think that Mandalorian is 1 season, 10 episodes, and done, or what?
I'd say no more than 2. That's how and you're right. I've had this conversation with other folks about limited series and what it means. An example was given to me of 24 when it came back.
Right.
Limited. This is the only time you're 1 season. I don't necessarily think it means 1 season, but I definitely, it means they have an end game and they know they can't keep this going. Or maybe they could. Not that, Favreau could hand the reins over to some Filoni could take the reins. I could totally get behind that, but I'm saying no more than 2 seasons.
What do you think, Dorina?
I mean, for The Mandalorian, we're talking
For
about?
Mandalorian.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think shorter is usually better quality. So I prefer...
Thank you.
Like my favorite... Great. This is a morning show for kids. That was good, though. So... my favorite shows are usually like the 10 episode series, and that last like 2 to 3 seasons at the most.
Right.
Those are usually the best shows,
British
and then you're done.
Office series.
Because
BBC
then,
television.
Yeah, because then look at, as much as I love Game of Thrones, I still was much more impacted by it earlier, right? Like later on, like there's some stuff that I wasn't into, and it was more about the spectacle of it.
Is it the happiness?
Yeah, I like people losing.
See that.
I like people dying. So
I like the second half. The second half so much.
So then the first half.
Yeah.
So the first half was more interesting to me because it was all about the politics and like
that stuff I liked, but I was just getting and I told Ken this, like I was getting to a point because they were following the books, and I get George R. R. Martin is genius. I know he is, but I was just getting to a point where I was like, I get it, dude. This is real. Anyone can die now. I'm like, I still want to watch like some entertainment. I want to root for people, and I know that they can die, but keep some of them going.
I totally agree. We could totally have a Game of Thrones conversation, but that's why I think season 7 of Game of Thrones had some people that like it. Is like you started getting solutions that were positive, or this is what happens, and sometimes the quest. And also, it does affect storytelling when it comes to Star Wars. We expect. I've always said there's not really a shocking Star Wars death. I fought a movie fights recently and said Nanta, the Ewok, was the most shocking death.
You're right.
Because we didn't expect that. And as a kid, like Optimus Prime dying, you're traumatized by the Ewok.
Obi-Wan's kind of shocking.
That was my most shocking.
Absolutely. But now we're so used to the hero's journey and the myth and the structure of the myth.
Right.
Most Star Wars death, and there's always going to be little caveats, serve a purpose to the greater story. So I wasn't. Were you surprised that Han was dying? I think in that moment, we're like, here it is. Here's the Han dying.
I said I would go Qui-Gon also. Liam Neeson crapping out that quick.
Yeah,
except we got spoiled through this.
Yeah,
score.
which by the way, I talk about that ruling. I think I should got a half point. We'll talk about that in the Schmodown. But
you said Qui-Gon's death.
I said the Qui-Gon's funeral, and that is the next track title.
But the one about his death is Qui-Gon's Noble End.
Qui-Gon's Noble End, and the next one is the High Council and Qui-Gon's funeral. Should have got half a point.
Half a point.
All right. Anyway, hey, people like when we go off the tracks here and off the rails, so we're having some fun here today.
What do you got next?
We talk about Game of Thrones. Hey, let's talk about everyone's favorite meme in Star Wars: sand. It gets everywhere, and all the prequel jokes you can make. We got the two back-to-back kind of stuff here, two back-to-back kind of news stories. This going to the wilds of Reddit because sometimes
they hit us.
Sometimes, yeah, they got some leaks. Episode 9 crew gifts leaked out. All right, I don't know if we got the pictures, Cody. We're gonna get Disney security gonna come after us. All right, so there we go. That's I've got the flash crashed on that page.
I feel like that's Alex Damon's wardrobe.
It does kind of look like Alex Damon's wardrobe there. This one reads, Dear cast and crew of episode 9, there are no words to properly express our gratitude and amazement. Your work has been next level spectacular. You've done it with all the kindness and respect. There are no words, but there are jackets from JJ, Kathy, Michelle, and Callum. Again, we don't know if that could be completely forged. We don't know. We're not Obi-Wan in Attack of the Clones on a private eye message.
Probably not.
And the next one was the little bottles of sand. And one of them. Mm-hmm. For those asking about bottles of sand, and it's really fine sand from a sacred place on familiar planet. The beans have something to do with a Jedi eater, whatever that means. It'll all be clear December. This is the wilds of Reddit. I don't know, but this led people to think of Tatooine, and then an article comes out on Inverse saying that Episode 9 has to return to Tatooine. It makes sense, and we brought this up, so I figured it's a great jumping-off point.
I'll tell you why I think it's not Tatooine. I think they're going back to Jakku.
Jakku?
Because the Rey storyline, sorry everybody who loved everything that happened in the way that it was wrapped up in 8, we're not done with her origins. We're not even close. We're going to go back to Jakku. The other thing that happened in Jakku that I can't tell me which, I think it was Aftermath.
Yes, Empire's End specifically.
The Emperor had a conversation, and Emperor was doing a lot of work.
He was digging.
He was doing a lot of work on Jakku.
Yeah, Gallius Rax.
There's a reason that we were at Jakku for the Empire. There's a reason why. And there's a reason why I think that's going to tie back to Rey. I've made it pretty clear that I think that they're going to do something again with the Emperor. And I would not be surprised if it all ties in together with this. Now, could they go back to Tatooine? Yeah, I think that's possible. I think that that J.J. Abrams has shown that he is obviously the big fan of the original trilogy that he is. He might. I think for some of the stuff maybe you didn't like about Game of Thrones that I loved is I think we got some good fan service. I don't consider fan service a bad term. A lot of people do. I think fan service, when done right, is something that should be an appropriate term because that's who's watching this stuff, are the fans. That's who you want to appease, the fans. Mm-hmm. I think we're going to get some fan service and stuff that makes you go, oh yeah, that thing, that ties back to this. I don't think he's going to tie in all 9 movies. I don't think he needs to do that. But I think Tatooine is possible, but I think that that's more significant to Jakku. What do you think?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, like regarding Rey in general, like obviously there was some stuff in Last Jedi when she goes into this cool. That was my favorite part of the movie, actually, when she goes under that whatever rock.
The Goth tunnel.
Yeah. Yes. Obviously, that was of course my favorite part of the movie. So I want to know more about that, right? So I think that makes us we're going to discover more stuff maybe about her possibly, but I don't know if it necessarily needs to go back to that planet. Like I don't know if like that's kind of where she was probably dropped off or left. You know what I mean? I think if you're gonna go with fan service, then Tatooine would make sense. Well, the only reason especially like how cool would it be if the whole saga ends in Tatooine with the two sons?
Yeah, and I think that could be poetic.
Music, that would be beautiful
for sure. I just think because the stuff like if we looked at the tie-in with Solo with the canon stuff, and if they are going that way and they're continuing it, that there was a lot of stuff that went down with the Emperor and Jakku, and there's a lot of stuff that went with the Empire in general with Jakku. And I think that if you tied it all together, that around that time, and it all leaks in, because people thought they're going to show Rey's parents in those novels, because it all kind of links back to that particular time period. So it's possible. Is Tatooine possible? Yes, but Ken, where are you leaning on?
I would lean to Jakku, and I love the idea of Tatooine or some Star Wars poetry. I joke, but I still love the idea of Endor in some way, at some point in the Star Wars story. Get my Chief Wicket in, but I love the idea of Jakku, and even regarding Rey, it will have something to do with her lineage or something. Yeah, possibly. I hear what you're saying, but it doesn't even necessarily have to. It could have to do with just her and there and what was going on there. They definitely Empire's End was all about that. Palpatine, I think I forget the timeline, but we're talking decades before the events of the original trilogy. I believe he was. I don't even know if he was the Emperor. The timeline. It's been a while since I've read Aftermath. He and Luke Tashu are out there digging, and that's where they run into this little kid, Galley Rax, and this little scruffin out there. And the Emperor pulls him in, or Palpatine pulls him in, and that is important. It's important to the contingency plan. It's his jumping off point to the Outer Rim, the unknown region. So I love the idea of going back there. I love getting some kind of answer there. If do we need it? It depends where the story goes, but that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Whatever this is fun. I could get those at Urban Outfitters right now, so this could be completely fake. But beyond that, I like the idea.
Are we even talking about what the thing on the right is?
Black one?
Because what if that's Mustafar?
Oh, I could very well be Mustafar, or it could have been some Carillion coffee beans or something.
Right.
But yeah.
Mustafar, I want to see Mustafar again.
Yeah.
And I want to see, I would love, what I would love for them to do, even if it's brief, is going back and tying in Rogue One to Episode 9 and Kylo Ren visiting the castle, Vader's castle.
Oh, yeah.
That would be amazing if they did
really
that.
cool.
I don't know if they're going to do that.
Yeah,
I'd probably not, but it would be cool if they did.
Yeah, I'm fine when they recycle planets like that we've seen in other sagas. Like but also knowing Star Wars, they're going to come up with at least one new planet for this new movie.
If probably way more than that. But
because I mean that's the whole point of them like being creative and like coming up with all these new worlds. But
we'll try to think of which one. I mean, first one was Tatooine. Alderaan kind of counts.
Alderaan counts. Yeah.
It's really Tatooine, Alderaan, and then Yavin 4.
Yavin
4, which
you go Hoth.
favorite planet?
of all time.
My favorite planet of all time?
Yeah.
I mean, it depends because
I guess clearly Endor. I'm obsessed with it, but
Endor's
in the
pretty
movies
awesome.
or in general, all
In the movies.
or just
just the movies. Because I would have
I mean, I kind of like Jupiter, but
TV shows count.
yeah.
Because I've got Korriban. I still want to see.
I know you love the Korriban.
I want to see Korriban.
Which is now
I
Morban.
really want to see Korriban.
No, Morban.
Can you imagine if they go to Korriban? Imagine if that's from Korriban. Oh, please bring Korriban into
It was Morban that became Korriban.
It was more.
That's
it
right.
was,
I forget.
Yeah, it was Morban originally, and then once the canon shifted over, they changed it because.
And that was from George.
Yeah, well, because it was too similar to something.
Some Mustafar. I don't know.
Maybe. All right, let's move on. Anything else going on in movie news? Or are we done?
There's this little story about Han Solo and Harrison Ford, the advice he gave to Lucasfilm. I think we kind of already heard that, but basically Harrison Ford to Lucasfilm, let this kid, Alden Ehrenreich, find his own way. Let him make his own choices. And I think in the end that is what happened. Whether or not you like the movie or not, I think Alden surprised a lot of people or confirmed what they had hoped or felt he was going to do. So, I don't know. Interesting little note, though. From Harrison. He's an actor.
It's an actor, and he's going to say what he's going to say. I'm going to shift a little bit differently.
Okay.
What it makes me realize, though, is that, and I definitely deserve two people an apology.
Yeah.
And it's Lord Miller. I don't know what happened on that, and we'll never know.
We'll never know.
All I'll tell you is that where he's saying, let them go, let them find their voice, after seeing Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, I wish they would have just let them do their thing. Because I don't think we would have gotten that Ace Ventura movie. I just can't imagine them doing that.
No.
And I think that and I know they didn't direct Spider-Verse. I know that, but they were heavy. I forget which one. I think Miller co-wrote it.
Phil, I think co-wrote
it. But they were overseers of the whole entire thing. And you looked at that movie, And that was handled by Spider-Man fans and people who knew Spider-Man. I think it's one of the most authentic, if not the most authentic Spider-Man movie that we've ever had.
And filmmaking fans, because the animation was groundbreaking.
Correct.
I've never seen something like that before. It was amazing.
You're right. So it makes me think that they're not going to grab a property and say, we're going to go so radical, this is going to be like something you've never seen. Because Spider-Man was something you never saw, but it was still very true to the source material more than everything. And there were jokes in it. And there were a lot of jokes in it. And maybe that was something that they tried to do inside of Solo that just didn't fit the normal Star Wars humor. But man, after seeing that, I say to myself, I wish I would have liked to have seen what they did. And I was, if you go back to any old episodes of this, I was happy that they had, from the rumors that I heard, that they were gone. But after seeing that movie, I'm curious. But that's a what if scenario. So I just wanted to say that because you always hear these reports of what happened, who did what they were going to do. You don't really know. But after seeing that movie, I think that they at least deserved a shot. That's all I wanted to say. I think that's everything on movie news.
It is.
All right.
It is.
So
it
we're
is.
going to move on over, and now we're going to do the segment on the show that's simply known as What's the Deal with Canon? Everything in the world of Star Wars that connects to the movies, but it could be video games, television shows, novels, whatever it is. Is that Padme book? People are sending that thing out now already, huh? I just saw Damon had it.
I saw Damon had it. I don't get the books.
Is it Del Rey?
I'm not on the list anymore.
What's happening? Again, the same thing.
That's fine. I buy them.
But usually we get them sent. I got to find out if it's Del Rey or we got to get those books because I know you really want to watch it. Don't buy it yet because I want to review it for this show. All right. Well, don't worry about it.
That's his comic books and toys. When do you guys talk about toys? That's what I want to talk about.
We never really talked about toys. That's a good point.
Yeah. Can we bring toys next time? If you guys invite me back and I bring my toys.
I just don't think toys really kind of tie into the overall. I think when we first started doing the show, that they were releasing toys for Force Awakens, and it was stuff that could pertain. You remember when they released Kylo Ren? You pushed.
the voice?
Yeah, and there were certain lines that didn't make the cut, and people were like, "Well, what's he mean there?" I think that's why we started talking about toys, but it's.
It's fun. I mean, I remember even not being a huge prequel fan at all, but I remember buying the toys and being excited for the movies and all that.
Absolutely.
Anyways,
I mean, toys are certainly important in Star Wars, but I get what you're saying.
You got to be a jerk about it. All right, let's move on.
Why do you invite her here?
I don't know.
That's why.
I don't know.
I was asking a question.
You were demanding. I was very demanding.
You're doing good.
Continue, Ken. Thank you.
I can't afford to buy a new book because I spent like $90 on tacos the other night.
Did you? You wound up going to that?
Yeah,
I heard it was really fun.
It was a lot of fun. Yeah, you should.
Right.
You should go.
You should go next
on
time.
a weekend.
Yes.
Bring the kids.
Bring the kids. Okay. All right. All
right. What's the deal with canon? This is a fun show today. Star Wars Resistance is gonna have a season 2, and we got the second half trailer. Going back to Star Wars Rebels, they always make good trailers for these shows, and this one, well, it is pretty darn good.
You love this show, right?
I do really like this show. This trailer, though, makes me think I'm prepared to love what's coming down the pipeline. A lot more serious stuff. I'm sure it's going to be Kazono doing. He does kind of some pratfalls. That's going to be there. But the show always looks great. Look at that shot of Starkiller Base. Look at this shot.
The art is amazing.
Art's great. We got a clip.
It's the best looking cartoon that I know of.
It's really good looking.
As expected, because this was set, 6 months prior to Force Awakens. We know the lead character is from the planet Hosnian Prime.
Yeah.
We saw that dark cloud coming down the pipeline there. We got to see General Hux giving his Force Awakens speech, which I still think is comically over the top. I'm surprised people took that character seriously. But it's also a great speech because there's a lot of exposition.
So they get to that in the show?
They're watching it. They're watching it. So we are to that point, which also raises a great question. BB-8 is a cast member on the show. BB-8's got to go. BB-8 in canon cannot be on this show much longer past this because he's on Jakku with Rey. So we'll see. We saw BB-8 in shot. We'll see if there's something that sends him away.
He's got to be. Well, I've got to really hunker down and watch this show because I've still only seen the first 2. I started watching before the Golden Globes the other day. I started watching all the episodes, and I couldn't lock in. And there was a lot of stuff going on in the house today, so I just couldn't lock in. I want to finish the first season. It just hasn't caught me the way that Clone Wars and Rebels have. I know it's completely different tone, and it's not the art, because I just said to you, I think the art's some of the best that we've seen so far. I want to get connected to this show. I'm going to try to get to, because everything you're saying, how it all ties into The Force Awakens, I want to see that. I like that type of stuff. It's the same thing when the Matrix, the second Matrix came out, and they did all those the Animatrix. I couldn't stop watching those, because I wanted to see how it all connected. And I want to do the same thing for this one, so I'm going to try it again. Have you watched a lot of this stuff?
I watched the first few episodes, but did you see the trailer
No,
that
the
they
new
just
one?
released?
No.
Yeah, it actually looked really cool, and it makes me want to continue watching the show. And it's funny because they do show a glimpse of Hux, and cartoon Hux, I guess, which I guess, yes, you're right, he's a little bit over the top. It is more appropriate for Spaceballs, maybe.
Is it Donald Gleason's voice?
Yeah,
I think it's just the same audio.
It's the same audio.
I would assume. Yeah.
I can't confirm that.
But it was cool to see the two main characters like kind of leaning behind a box and like seeing what's going on. Like it felt kind of like Back to the Future too. Where you have like
That's
Marty
good
seeing
example.
himself like that. That was pretty cool. So maybe that's where BB-8 fits in, and there's some weird time travel thing going on.
I know they're very aware of the canon of BB-8. I know the creators are. I'm just interested to see how they're going to do that. But interesting. Yeah, it looks great. The show, and to your point, if it hasn't pulled you in, I don't disagree with you on that. I watch it kind of one of those, hey, I have to watch it, but I really like the show. It's the stuff that's in there that's little, that's not prominent. So there's still a lot of and hijinks, and but Bobby Moynihan's funny, his character's great and everything. But there's those little things of refugees because Kylo Ren went and destroyed a village. All those kind of things where you're like, oh, there's some stuff going on, and it could start to emerge. So stick with it.
Yeah, the story's good. It's just that some of the
goofiness,
the dialogue is like, and that could just be a directorial or Disney direction that they want them to like do kiddie stuff. I don't know.
That was the thing though. This show, and that's what I said from the beginning. This show is geared, and it seems like it's a lot more. It's easier to watch for young children, and that's fine. And I never understand when some people are like, they're making it just for the kids now. Our Star Wars is dead. It's like, no, there's different tiers. It doesn't mean you have to watch all of it. The same thing, like, it might be one of the reasons that I'm not hooked in. Like, for example, I turned it on, and my daughter was reading a book next to me, and she stopped. She's like, don't leave this on. She's like, I want to finish my book, and she's like, I can't stop watching it. Like she wanted to watch it more than I did, and she's 7. So I think that's the audience that they're going for, and they hit that. But I still want to. I'm going to give it a shot. I'm going to try to finish it.
No, and I think it seems like it's gonna keep getting better because it has been, as far as like the last few that I saw. Yeah.
It's sign me up for that Clone Wars though. That's another reason though. I cannot wait for the last episodes and to see if Filoni finally gets to take that vision that he wanted to for so long, wrap up those stories. And you talk about canon though, Ken. That's the stuff you got to be careful with, right? Because like Ahsoka, now you have all the rebels that you got to figure out, like, when did she go off the map again? Because you see her in the trailer, so I'm not spoiling anything, but like where they tied up from season 5 or season 6. Is season 6? This is 7, isn't it?
This is 7. 5 was the last proper release.
Jesus, that's a lot of seasons.
And then 6 they put on Netflix. So by the end of 6, she's gone. So it ties into Rebels. Like, you haven't seen her at all. She's doing like these little side missions now in 7. It's like, well, how does she disappear again? I mean, I'm sure they're going to cover that, but because Filoni's very aware of how he's going to tie into his own series, obviously. Yeah,
and it ties. It's the Siege of Mandalore stuff, and that ties in a little bit to the Ahsoka novel as well, too, in the beginning.
Right.
So I'm curious to see how. And I've said I really just believe Filoni doesn't, not that he likes destroying canon, but I just think he doesn't worry about that as much, because again, we always say he learned from George. The story of George coming up to him going, I got an idea, you're gonna love it, Darth Maul's still alive, put him in the show, and Dave's like, great, how does that work? You figure it out. I think Filoni's got a little bit of that philosophy, and some of that stuff pops up.
I mean, we saw Maul in the movie, like, that's why.
Right. No, but he means like originally when he was first announced, like before when Filoni was working on that show with Lucas. I got an idea. Bring Maul back. Cool. He died. He got cut in half. How are we gonna do that? It's up to you. You're smart. So there you go. All right, what's next?
Your George Lucas and your George R. R. Martin have
They're
merged
close.
into the
They're close.
creepiest serial killer I've ever seen on a Netflix documentary.
Martin's got the laugh though, which kind of ties into a Dreyfus too. It's like, oh, okay.
So creepy.
Oh.
I want to stay closer to Ken.
Dorina, I want to go on another one of those taco walks.
I finally got a hold of Fire and Blood,
So
the
weird.
new Targaryen prequel book, and there's some art in there that I was like, George R. R. Martin, you creepy old man, what are you doing?
We talked about that yesterday on live. It's just like that. With that panel that he did. Were you in the room when he did that panel?
I was not, but I heard about it.
Wow, that was something special. Dorina, how are you? I wanna
This is the last time I appear on
slide
the
that
show.
water over here.
You wanna,
What's next?
The comic books are coming out.
So weird.
We'll figure out how to cover the comic books at some point. I'm always behind there.
We all are.
Behind. What are we-
This is more to let people know what
Yeah.
issues are out. The latest Star Wars issue is out of 59. I got to tell you that I love the cover of the Star Wars one because that reminds me of more like Indiana Jones than it is where.
Oh, they've got some great covers.
Yeah, the covers.
Hang them on your wall.
Yeah, Jango Fett. I don't know if that's necessarily for me. I've never been a huge Jango Fett guy. You like the Jango Fett?
I'm okay with Jango Fett. The seismic charges are my favorite sound in Star Wars,
Yeah.
but that's not necessarily his responsibility. But I had no problem with Jango being in it, but I don't. But I'm also not a huge Boba Fett fan either, so I don't dive into the Fett.
I don't mind him being in the movie. I just never think, oh, he's such a cool character. He just he got lucky and he acquired his son's outfit because that was cool in the original trilogy, and it's like, oh, he's cool. Is he, or is he just an imposter that happens to be?
IG-88 could.
He's just a
beat
simple
him up,
man
I'm
trying to
saying.
make his way in the galaxy.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, what's next?
All right. You want some questions?
Yeah, let's do it. So we'll move on over. We hear from you guys now. We're going to go to the twits, hashtag Collider Jedi Council, or on the Facebook group at Collider Jedi Council fan group. And what's the other one? The other one we do is YouTube Live. We're live right now, so make sure you get your questions in there. And I also like to give a shout out to our buddies over at Star Wars Newsnet. We get a lot of these stories from the great work that they do over there. So thank you to our friends over at Star Wars Newsnet. Go check them out.
All right. This one's specifically for you, and I like it. Steve Camp writes it. Now, Steve, this isn't Steve's voice or the tone, but I'm going to ask it like this. Kristian, I know you love Plagueis, but how confident are you we could see a canon retelling of a story anytime soon?
Not confident at all, Steve. I don't think they're going to... We can scream from the heavens that we want it. I think that... in all due respect, Kathleen Kennedy does not care about the inside baseball stuff of Star Wars, which I couldn't disagree with more. I don't think we're going to see it. Do we get a mention of Plagueis, maybe in even Episode 9? Sure, why not? Let's tie it in. We go, oh, cool, because I think J.J. Abrams was asked about it enough in 7 that maybe he throws something in there in 9. Maybe he doesn't. But will we get a full story on it? Man, if anybody said to me, like, okay, here's $120 million. You get 10 episodes. You can make whatever you want in the Star Wars world for plus. I am calling Tom Hiddleston and asking him to play Palpatine, and then I'm finding someone to play Plagueis, and I'm going to take a lot of those excerpts from the Darth Plagueis novel and make it canon. But do I think that's going to happen? Do I think anyone's going to do that? No. So not likely. Anybody else think it's possible?
You could make your fan film, like the Vader fan film.
I mean, listen,
fan film.
I've had discussions with someone the other day about making a fan film, and I am very intrigued.
You could play him too, if you want.
I would not play him, but I am very intrigued about producing a fan film. What do you think?
Good luck with that.
You don't like the fan films?
I don't like fan films.
I love fan films.
Hardware Wars and Troops are the only ones I like.
But
They
And
make
those
me
are
uncomfortable. I think props to the people that make them, and I think it's really hard work.
The mall
but,
one a couple years ago, they all look great.
Yeah, but they make me like uncomfortable.
Did you watch the Vader one?
Yeah.
I love the Vader one. You didn't like the Vader
No,
one?
I think it's
Maybe
it's
uncomfortable.
well made, but the acting like makes me uncomfortable. I don't know. It's just not.
It's like watching an episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm when Larry David gets into trouble.
It's like that.
A lot of times, you're right. A lot of times the acting is really bad. I thought the Emperor in Darth Vader film was really good. I thought the movements of what this Vader did.
I think the way they look, it's usually pretty cool.
I was really impressed for the amount of money that the guy put into it.
Do you know how much money it was?
I think it was
$100,000.
$100,000.
That's pretty impressive.
1,000 a minute.
That's pretty impressive.
That's impressive. I liked it. So
Yeah.
he's getting a lot of love for it, and I think well deserved.
Good for
Okay,
him.
what's next?
This one pops up a lot. I like it. Cody Mitchell. Not Cody Hall. Cody Mitchell.
Cody Miller?
Not Cody Miller. I miss Cody Miller and Cody Hall. Cody Mitchell, do you feel like there's been a lack of prominent alien characters in the sequel trilogy in comparison to the past trilogies? Galaxy feels small when most of all the notable characters are human. So this comes up a lot. I got one during the live questions, but someone asked kind of similar question while watching Solo on Netflix. Corneal mass injection. That's a great Twitter handle. I like that. Same thing. Do you think the sequel trilogy could benefit from more aliens in central roles? Aliens in Star Wars. It's a big thing, and it comes up a lot going even back to Force Awakens. Of do we want to see aliens we know?
I would like to see more aliens.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I nothing against CG because I think CG is great, but I do miss the cantina type creatures, you know, and that those were mostly practical effects. So it's more about that. It's kind of like having another Chewie.
I would like to see that, and I think that they set it up a couple times, even though it was CGI. Yeah. The alien character that Favreau played, albeit a bit annoying at times, I think that one of the things that I want to see them do more of, and I think because it sets how real the Star Wars galaxy feels, right? Is when they do the subtitle stuff. Yeah. I don't want the alien speaking basic. I just it doesn't work for me the same way.
You don't want a basic bitch alien?
I don't. There was in the prequels, most of the aliens spoke basic. Except there was one scene, Rodian was talking to, I think it's Sam Jackson. I can't remember who he was talking to, and he's just I was just talking to Palpatine, and subtitled, and that feels like Star Wars.
Yeah.
Because it's not to say that the humans can't understand them. A lot of them can understand them. It was way more effective. I think that creature in Solo, the woman, what's her name? The Lady
Proxima.
Yeah. Lady Proxima, if she wasn't talking like this, would have been so more effective with the subtitles and alien voice. Would have been menacing.
Right.
But when you start doing goofy human voices for these things, it fails. Use the subtitles. Give me the that's Star Wars language.
Yeah.
Because if Jabba the Hutt would have been basic, silly as hell. Silly as hell if Jabba's going, hey, what are you doing here, Han?
Like Zero the Hutt.
Awful. Yeah. Awful. Yeah, Zero the Hutt had like a New Orleans accent. It was atrocious.
You prepared me.
Atrocious.
Yeah.
Do not do that. But that also go back to give me more of them.
Yeah.
That's what Star Wars is. That was one of my favorite things in Knights of the Republic. So many different interactions with aliens, and you had to do the subtitle stuff. It was fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, the entirety of Jabba's palace is amazing to me. It's like my favorite Star Wars creature, alien, scene ever, you know? Yeah. And it's mostly everybody speaking different languages.
Right. Like, I'm okay with like Hondo, you know? Because like Hondo, I feel like Hondo learned how to do it, and Hondo should also have gone in and out of the different languages. Right. Like that's what I want to see, because like Hondo's a guy that would pick up all those languages because he needs to know how to communicate with all these people, but he can still maneuver in and out of different languages. But I wish they would do more of that stuff.
Yeah, I totally agree. As much as I've grown to love the era of the prequels, I still look at the Newt Gunray and just kind of some of the problematic choices made with those voices and everything. And
or what's the guy in the diner, like in Attack of the Clones?
Oh, don't you talk bad about Dexter's Jetster.
But if he would have had same thing, different scene. If he's talking in subtitles, they just make them act
like humans, and it's weird.
Cartoon,
it doesn't make sense. Yeah.
Outside of Dexter. Well, that's a Camino Seaver dart.
There are two of them, though. It's like, come on.
But that was troublesome. But the Jabba is a great example. If they had gone with the original, the Scottish guy who played it, Han, my boy, it wouldn't have worked. Yes, right. Bib Fortuna, ton of examples. That's why we needed 3PO. So in terms of more characters and aliens at the lead, I know people want that. It's the sequel trilogy brought us the Abdeb Nettos, which are really good. They feel like they're part of the Star Wars universe, and they just feel normal there now. But I think I would have liked to see a little bit more aliens that I know in Canto Bight. There would a Twi'lek here or there. It worked for me in Solo too, when they walk in a little bit and you're like, it's some new creatures, and familiar ones. So, but it is a big galaxy, and you can justify it, Yeah. And they all come from Harloff Minor.
All right. Well, let's do two more.
Two more questions. All right. I'm trying to get a live one here. I'm trying to get a good live one. So talking amongst. All right, Simon Davis. Simon Davis asked us here using the hashtag Collider Jedi Council. How many of the main heroes do you think will survive in Episode 9? Do you think Poe or Finn will be around by the end of this movie? Are they going to stick with the Lucas Return of the Jedi ending? We've lost some of our big heroes, we know that, but some of the new cast or anyone in Episode 9, do you think we're going to have some deaths?
No. I don't think we lose any of them, unless you count Kylo Ren. But
the actual heroes.
The heroes themselves, right, because I'm convinced, and I really hope that they don't do it. I really hope that Kylo Ren ends as a villain. I think that he had his shot in 2, but I just, if you look at it the way that they've been kind of setting it up, they're going to redeem him, so you can count him as a hero. But I think he's probably toast. No, I mean, side characters, maybe. If they kill Lando, it's like, come on, what do you have against the old school?
But they keep doing that.
They keep doing it.
Keep killing the old characters. I mean, they killed Akbar.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a really crappy death.
What?
It was like the crappiest death.
No. He's a warrior. He dies on his shield.
Horrible death.
Horrible death.
Horrible death.
So wrong.
It's the
You're both so wrong.
The
Horrible
execution was horrible.
That's how warriors go out.
Not even knowing that.
Yeah.
Did Akbar just die?
Yes, that's how it happened.
It should have been him. It should have been him instead of Laura Dern.
Yeah.
No.
Yes,
no,
I totally agree with you.
Oh God, I'm walking off the show.
Hey, they want to say, come on to the what? And then that's the
God.
last line the guy has.
Damn it, that's the worst take on Hold Up. Come on. It's the worst take.
Justice for Akbar.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's start a hashtag.
I'm with you.
Today. Yeah.
No.
Sorry, Ken.
No.
You will lose.
No.
Last one.
No.
Sorry.
No.
Yep. What?
I had it. Oh God, where'd it go? My screen just changed. We talk about the streaming service. All right, so Mark Karsh, do you think all the television shows coming in the next couple of years, Mandalorian, Clone Wars Season 7, Resistance, we still got Cassian Andor, in addition to the future films, that Lucasfilm is running the risk of creating Star Wars fatigue among more casual viewers?
No, because this is what I've been singing to the heavens here. What you're assuming, the fan who wrote that, what you're assuming is that we're getting Mandalorian this year and a movie this year, Cassian this year, a movie next year, then a movie, then a series. Movies are going to stop for a little bit.
Yeah.
They haven't announced that, but movies are going to stop. So it's going to be, you're going to get a series just like you get a television series for anything. Every season, depending on what it is, you'll get and limited series, by the way, too, on Mandalorian, and potential limited series on Cassian. So those will be spaced out. Maybe Mandalorian comes back the next year after. Maybe it comes back 2 after. And then Cassian comes and they deal more with Cassian. You're not seeing the Benioff Weiss thing until like 2021. So there's going to be a lot of time in between. And as far as and you're asking for casual fans, they're not even going to be looking in the Clone Wars direction. The Clone Wars show is for the hardcore fans.
Yeah.
It's for the fans that wanted it back. It's the fans that were throwing that hashtag to get it back. It's a very popular show, but not maybe along the casual fans who didn't even know that Darth Maul was alive and they were confused when they saw Solo. But as far as the casual fans go, the casual fans are really going to be looking towards that movie. One of the movies coming out, and the casual fans are going to see, okay, episode 9 closed out, what's next? And then the casual fans are going to go, when's our next Star Wars movie coming out in the theaters? We haven't seen a theater movie forever. And then they're going to go from 2019 to like 2021, and by the time you get to 21, they're excited. And if they want to go watch stuff on TV, they can. So the exact opposite. There's going to be more of a hunger for it with this particular plan.
Yeah. Yeah, and as more of a movie fan than the other stuff, like I still haven't finished Clone Wars or Rebels, right? Like, and not because I don't want to, I just don't. There's a lot of stuff out there, right? But I think the movie fans are probably going to be interested more in The Mandalorian than anything else if they're going to watch something. But you talk about fatigue. I mean, how much have we been talking about people think that there's superhero fatigue, and how much money did Aquaman make?
Right.
You know, like there's something for everyone, and it doesn't mean that everyone saw those movies. And some people are Marvel fans, some people are DC fans, Fox fans, whatever, right? But there's something for everyone. Like I think fatigue just means that you're watching everything. And some people do. Some people are hardcore fans and they love all of it, and that's great. But most of us don't. Like, most of us just pick things, and I think it's great that you have the options as a fan to watch whatever is for you.
Fatigue is also used as a crutch for people throwing out, because this is, we know, and we can all agree here, Last Jedi has 2 sides. People who love it, people who hate it.
Yeah.
Right? that's something that's a big divide. Like Marvel, there's some people who just don't like Marvel in general and never will. Marvel, they're going to just destroy it. Same thing with DC, right? But then there's the hardcore Marvel fan base. The Star Wars hardcore fan base were divided on Last Jedi. A lot of people, I know. Whereas Marvel, it's not. A lot of the times they've just been kind of straight through. So there's no fatigue there for a lot of the fans because they keep satisfying the need for it. Solo didn't satisfy the need for everybody.
Right.
Last Jedi didn't satisfy the need. So now people start saying, oh, there's a fatigue. It's just too much Star Wars. If Solo was incredible and Last Jedi appeased everyone, no one's talking about fatigue right now. Right. They're talking about what's next. Yeah. It's because they only say fatigue because they just haven't been satisfied the way that they wanted to.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And I think that's the whole point with if Mandalorian is incredible and if Cassian turns out to be incredible, then the hunger for the movie is going to be through the roof. Yeah. And then if this Benioff and Weiss thing is the best stuff, people are going to, then you're going to hear that unfair thing of this is better than anything they ever did it before. They should have started with this.
Yeah.
So
I always want each next thing to be better than the one before.
Right. Like there's no such thing as fatigue. It's make stuff that appeases the fan base, and that's not easy to do. No. It's not. Fatigue is silly. Fatigue is an absolute silly statement. It always has been. When people used to ask about for Star Wars or for superhero movies, for any of that stuff, it's a silly statement. There are people who are tired of watching comic book movies, but it's not the overall, or Star Wars, it's not the overall fan base in general. Because if that was the case, then they wouldn't be making money. You make good stuff, people will watch it. That's it.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I think that's it. That's the end of Collider Jedi Council today. I'd like to thank the panel that joined us. Dorina, where can they find you?
At Evil Dorina on Instagram and Twitter, and that's it.
Ken Napzok, what have you been doing lately? What do you got going on?
Just follow me at Ken Napzok. Hopefully, a big
zoo
announcement.
Looking at otters.
What's that?
Yeah, the zoo looking at otters.
I just went to the zoo last week. I love those otters.
LA Zoo?
LA Zoo, and they flip and they do the things over and over, and I just sit there giggling for an hour.
I like that LA Zoo, by the way.
It's a good zoo. Yeah. You can follow me at Ken Napzok. Hopefully, I got a big announcement soon in the next couple weeks. Something fun I'm working on, so we'll see. But
awesome.
Just follow that.
Oh, you follow me at Kristian Harloff, Twitter, Instagram. Some of you may know, some of you may not know that the Schmodown has moved on over to the Schmodown channel, youtube.com/the Schmodown. Go and check that out. Please do that. We have the Patreon going up over there too. So thank you for everybody joining us today. Make sure you subscribe here to Collider Video. Go on over to the Apple Podcast feed or anywhere you can find podcasts and give us a listen over there. Rate, review, do it all. May the Force be with you always.
Hey everybody, Mark Ellis here. Thanks for watching this episode of Collider Movie Talk. You want to watch more? Then click up here, or you can click right here for more great content from Collider. And if you haven't subscribed to Collider Video, do so right now and share this vid with your friends. Thanks for watching.